is no escape. Welcome.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight, I have a story that will make you think twice about your next vacation booking. This isn't just another ghost story. This is an account of a place so wrong, it feels like a tear in the fabric of reality itself. So dim the lights, get comfortable, and let's descend into the chilling tale of the Hell's Gate Resort. It all started with the silence. You know, that heavy, unnatural quiet where you can hear your own heartbeat in your ears? The first night was just like that. No wind, no crickets, not a single sound from the surrounding forest. It was a silence so complete, it felt like the world was holding its breath. I tried to dismiss it, telling myself it was just the peace and quiet of the mountains I'd been craving. But a small primal part of my brain was already screaming that something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. The first real warning sign came at dinner. The resort's dining hall was elegant, but empty, save for me and a single waiter. He had this smile. It was too wide, stretched unnaturally across his face, and his eyes were glassy, like a doll's, never quite focusing on me. Trying to make small talk, I asked him how long he'd worked at the resort. Just tilted his head, that unnerving grin never wavering, and said, since before it was built. My blood ran cold. I finished my meal quickly after that. The food suddenly tasteless in my mouth. His words echoed in my head, a riddle I didn't want to solve. Back in my room, I tried to distract myself, but the unease was a physical weight. Then, at exactly 11:47 p.m., the lights began to flicker. A low, metallic rumble started, vibrating through the floor. It sounded like massive, ancient machinery grinding to life deep beneath the hotel. My first thought was an earthquake, a common enough fear in the mountains. But then came the voices. It wasn't one or two. It was a chorus of thousands, screaming in agony from beneath my feet. It was the sound of a multitude in torment, rising up through the floorboards. I scrambled out of bed, heart hammering against my ribs. As the screaming intensified, I glanced at the clock on the bedside table. The digital display froze at 12 o'clock. In that same instant, every light in the room, in the entire hotel, went out, plunging me into absolute darkness. The air turned frigid, so cold that my breath plumed in front of me like a ghost. And through the cacophony of screams from below, a new sound emerged. Footsteps. Slow, wet, dragging footsteps, coming down the hallway, getting closer and closer to my door. Panic took over. I didn't even think. I just ran to the window, desperate for an escape. What I saw outside defied all logic. The beautiful garden I'd admired earlier was on fire, but the flames weren't rising toward the sky. They were being pulled downward, sucked into the earth as if the ground itself was a furnace, swallowing everything whole. The sky had turned a sickening blood red, and the moon was a black, dead orb. Across the property, the lake had begun to boil, steam rising in thick, angry clouds. A piercing shriek ripped through the air, the fire alarm. It was a sound that should have brought comfort, a sign of rescue. But as I flung my door open and peered into the hallway, not a single other door opened. No one else was evacuated. The hallway was empty, the alarm screaming into the void. My legs felt like lead, but I forced myself to run, stumbling towards the lobby, hoping to find other people, an explanation, anything. When I reached the grand lobby, I froze in my tracks. Everyone was there. Every guest I had seen earlier was standing in the vast, open space, but they were all perfectly still, facing the walls, their backs to me. As my eyes adjusted to the dim red glow filtering through the windows, I saw that their necks were bent at impossible, horrifying angles. Their mouths moved without sound, whispering words in a language that felt ancient and corrosive. I was trapped in a silent, waking nightmare. Then, behind the grand reception desk, something moved. A figure unfolded itself from the shadows. It was tall, impossibly thin, a skeletal silhouette. Its skin looked like old burned paper, stretched taut over its bones, and its fingers were like long, spindly twigs that seemed to stretch on forever. It turned its head, and a grin split its face, a terrifying slash filled with teeth that looked like shattered glass. And in a voice that was both a whisper and a roar, it said, "Welcome back." That was it. I bolted. Adrenaline surged through me as I ran from the lobby, away from that thing. I threw open the nearest door, expecting an exit, but found myself in another hallway. Same red carpet, the same ornate lamps, the same sickening smell of smoke and decay. I ran to the end and tried another door, and another, and another. Each one opened into an identical, endless corridor. I was in a labyrinth. I slammed my hands against the walls in desperation, and they felt warm. Not just warm, but alive. The floral wallpaper seemed to pulse beneath my fingertips like veins, and dark, thick fluid began to bleed through the patterns. At precisely 12:17 a.m., the fire alarm cut out, plunging the hotel back into a terrifying silence. But it only lasted a moment. The silence was shattered by screams this time, from inside the rooms. One by one, the doors along the endless hallway burst open. Inky black shadows spilled out, crawling and writhing across the floor like oil. They had the vague shape of people, but their faces were melting, distorting. Their voices a symphony of pleas and begging for a help that would never come. I stumbled backward, tripping and falling into a stairwell I hadn't seen before, leading down into darkness. The air grew hotter with every step, burning my lungs. At the bottom, the marble tiles of the floor were cracked and broken, and through those cracks, I saw it. Fire. Not normal fire, but a living inferno. Filled with faces, agonized, screaming faces, their eyes wide with eternal terror. And I recognized them. They were the guests, the ones I'd seen in the lobby. The horrifying moment, everything clicked into place. This resort wasn't built asterisk on asterisk the mountain. It was built asterisk over asterisk something, wound in the earth, a gateway, a mouth that had been opened and never closed. I heard a voice behind me and I turned. It was the manager, the man who had checked me in. But his eyes now glowed like hot coals. His skin was peeling from his face like ash. And his voice echoed from every wall at once, a booming, demonic sound. Before I could even scream, the floor beneath me split wide open. A volcanic eruption of screams, maniacal laughter, and fire blasted upward. Something unseen with sharp claws grabbed my ankles, yanking me down into the abyss. I desperately clung to the metal railing of the stairs, but it melted like wax in my hands. And as the flames rose to swallow me whole, I looked up one last time. Through the thick black smoke, I could see the sign above the reception desk, glowing with infernal light. It read, "Welcome to Hell's Gate Resort. Thank you for listening to this terrifying tale. I hope it gives you chills." If you enjoyed this story and want more content that explores the darker side of things, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss a new video. Stay safe out there, and always check the reviews before you book a room. I'll see you in the next one.